Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Super Game Brothers and our weekly conversations about HBO's The Last of Us Season 2. This week we're talking about episode number 6 called The Price, which has, I think, the long sought-after return of Pedro Pascal. After
yes,
being out for a few episodes, and I think this is the last that he is in the show. Unless there's like another flashback or two, like in the last episode of season 2, because I saw on social media like him saying goodbye to the crew and everything. So I think his portion is probably about done, unless they need like a quick pickup or something. But at $600,000 an episode, they were probably like, we can't keep you around too long.
Oh,
so that would be a nice little paycheck.
Huh.
Anyways, this is a good episode. It's mostly about, the flashback of the 5 years between the events of season 1 and up to Joel's death, kind of in these glimpses along the way. And just high level, I really like this episode. I like that they focused on each of Ellie's birthdays.
Yeah, very interesting.
Cool little touch point so that you see like each year go by. And like, okay, this was exactly 1 year later and exactly 1 year later. It's like very clean. I don't remember the game doing it exactly that way. Like, I know he's like making her the guitar for her birthday at the beginning of the game. And like some of the scenes are very similar, but I don't remember the birthday theme through the game. But I don't know. I may be forgetting. So anyways, what do you think high level about episode 6, Devin?
I really enjoyed this episode without diving into too much detail. It was emotional and, like you said, very clean. It was very easy to understand where their relationship was each year. It changes drastically
it does.
Over the years. Yeah, pretty touching. Kind of sad to see it go one direction when you don't want it to.
Yeah, I know, right? Since you know where it ends, you're kind of like, oh, these are such great moments.
Yes,
but I know what it's leading to, which is a bummer. So,
but I would say very good in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought this was a very, very good episode as well. Some changes again from the source material. We'll talk about some of those when we get in here, but just kind of going scene for scene. We open with young Joel and his brother Tommy.
When this started, the episode started, and I was like, oh, I clicked on the wrong show. What the frick? And literally backed out.
That's funny.
Because I didn't think I was in The Last of Us.
What did you think it was?
I don't know. I was just like, oh,
after
I'm not the right thing.
After Joel's dad walked in, you maybe would have thought it was Better Call Saul.
Yeah, maybe so. Oh, is he in that?
Yeah, he plays Lalo in the later seasons of Better Call Saul, and he is like my favorite character in that show.
Oh, really?
He is excellent. There was some news this week about him. The actor also is going to play a character in Naughty Dog's next game, and I'm just like so pumped for that. So anyways, that's a tangent, but yeah, Joel and Tommy talking. Tommy's nervous. He's going to get in trouble for something. It seems like there was a fight of some kind. Someone was buying some marijuana from someone at school. Tommy's nervous, saying, I'm going to get the belt. And Joel, ever the protector, says, no, I will. Yeah. And I like this. It's a scene that's not in the game. This is a new scene. But it just kind of reinforces to the audience like what Joel's kind of personality was like, and obviously as a protector of his daughter originally, and then as Ellie as his surrogate daughter, kind of makes sense why he does what he does. But really cool scene. Then eventually Joel's dad comes in, who's a police officer, says, I got 30 minutes off. Tell me what happened. Basically. And with the scene earlier from you're going to get the belt, you kind of think like, okay, it seems like he might have beat his kids a few times. But they have the scene has some tension between, again, the excellent actor that plays Joel's dad in the show. And this is 1983 in Austin, Texas. And a couple little other touch points I really liked. It was cool to see, like, the dad knows. Like, he's not dumb.
Yeah.
Dad knows it wasn't Joel. Like, maybe he would have or even had a few times like punished Joel for things that Tommy had done. But this time he's like, it's enough. Like, I know it wasn't you. Like, so we're just gonna talk about this like men. Cool scene. I like anything that has to do with parenting right now is like really tender on my heart. So it was just like it was a good scene.
I agree. I want to touch a couple things on this scene. I liked how, and maybe this is what you were going to talk about, but they basically talk it out, and Joel says, "You aren't going to hurt him,"
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it almost took his dad back a little bit, and he was like, okay, he respects his brother, took his dad back to his own childhood, and was like, I know I've hurt you guys, but it wasn't as bad as my dad was. I hope one day you do better than I do.
Yeah.
And he cracks Joel a beer, and they just talk about it for a minute. And I thought it was super cool because I've seen a lot of movies in my life, and that exact scene right there always goes the same way. You talk back to your dad, the dad's had enough.
Yeah.
Life is hard enough. You're getting beat now. But he didn't. And I was so shocked.
Yeah. It was kind of strangely positive scene because he's like, he talks about his own dad and how he was beaten more. And he's like, I know I'm not perfect. I know I've done some things I shouldn't have. I'm just trying to be at least a little bit better than my dad was. And I hope that you'll be a little bit better than I was. And I think that's what you generally want your kids to be is, you see your own perfections as a person and as a parent, and you want your kids to be better than you. So I think it's something that almost everyone can relate to in that way. Another little touch, really liked the watch Joel's dad had. That's definitely Joel's watch from the game.
Did not notice that.
So Joel's dad must have given it to Joel. Battery died. Sarah eventually got it fixed, or I don't know if it's gears or battery or whatever, because she gives him that watch at like the opening of the show and the game. So cute little touch of Joel's like what must be a fond like memory of his dad, or he wouldn't have such like. Well, maybe because in the show, Sarah actually finds that watch in a drawer. So is it a watch that Joel wore all the time, and it just needed to be fixed, and he had stuck it in a drawer, or is it one that had just been hidden away as a memory of his dad, but not one that he like has kind of a huge affection for? I could see it going either way, to be honest, but I thought that was a cool touch point nonetheless. Just another fun little note in the intro sequence, it does like all the mushroom growing, and then at the very end, 2 of the mushroom spores kind of like grow up into Joel and Ellie. And then it says like directed by Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, The Last of Us, or whatever, and goes to the show. Ever since Joel died in episode 2, it's only grown into one that looks like Ellie. So for the last like 4 episodes, that one's been gone. And this episode brought it back, the double grow, because Joel was.
Oh wow!
So
well, ever since I saw the intro in season 1, I skip the intro every time, so I didn't know that.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, there are some shows that I just feel like the intro slaps, like Severance.
It is good.
That's a great intro. The Last of Us's intro is good. I just love the music too. So like, when I listen to music for 90 seconds, I'm like, all right, I'm ready. So I don't skip these ones, but there are a lot of shows I do skip.
Yeah.
So I get you. I get it. All right. After the intro, it opens with Joel talking to Seth in the bar. And I think this one would have been Ellie's 15th birthday. And I guess a few days before, he's trading a bunch of Legos in a bag for Seth to make him some food, it sounds like. He doesn't really tell him, but he's like, ingredients, you want vanilla or chocolate, and a piece of a bone. You see him later like carving that bone into the moth that he inlays in the guitar. It's kind of cool to see like him do that with all the close-ups on like him tightening stuff, and very pretty guitar.
I agree. I liked that as well.
Kind of gives Joel more of a like a tinkerer kind of vibe, that he can fix anything, kind of vibe, because it's not like he was fixing guitars as a trade, but he just kind of knows how things are built. So very cool scene. And then I think while he's working on it, Ellie runs in with Tommy, and she has a big burn on her arm. Is that here? Yeah. For a minute, I was like, wait, is Ellie doing this? And Joel's like going along with this lie to deceive Tommy. But then I'm like, well, duh, Tommy knows. But I forgot that because the show doesn't really touch a ton on Tommy knowing. At least in the second season. In the first season, there is a spot where he has a conversation with Tommy about it. But the second game opens with Joel telling Tommy what he did while he's cleaning the guitar with the moth symbol on it in that garage. He tells Joel basically or Tommy everything that happened. So since it didn't have that scene, I forgot that Tommy even knew. So
I agree. When I watched that, I thought someone in this room isn't supposed to know that she can't be infected.
Right. It seemed like a ploy.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what time period we're in. I don't know anything.
But then after like 30 more seconds, I was like, oh, maybe they're not trying to make this be deceiving. Cause it was kind of a weird vibe. But she's like loopy as well at the same time because they gave her painkillers and stuff. But so she burned her arm over the infection mark, and which kind of leads to her later being able to get the tattoo, and then through the two of those things, the burning and the tattoo, being able to hide that she's immune. So cool scene. I liked the guitar cleaning more than the burn scene. So she has that birthday like a couple days later or something, and I'm trying to remember exactly how it happens. Joel gives her the guitar. Some folks call this a
he
guitar.
said that, yeah.
They do say that in the game, so I was fine with it. Then when do they have the cake? Oh, right before. He gives her the cake first, huh? Because he turns around and she's got her hands in the cake, like ripping it apart. So birthday cake and a guitar. Pretty cool birthday. Then
and their relationship on this birthday is so good.
It is. It's happy. She asks him to sing something because it's her birthday, and he just made her a guitar. So Ellie gets Joel to sing that Future Days song. I think it's like a Rolling Stone song or something. Same song that he sings in the game. I guess before I speak anymore, what do you think of Pedro Pascal's performance of said song?
I actually thought it was good. Yeah. I didn't ever think like this is cringy or he sucks or he's way good. I just thought it was... Did you have some weird thoughts about it?
I couldn't decide. His performance is much less professional than Troy Baker's. Troy Baker plays Joel in the game. Troy Baker is also in a band, I believe, and like plays guitar and can sing.
Okay.
And so in the game, I think he sings it better. But since Pedro Pascal didn't like sing it perfectly, I thought it kind of fit his character better. Like he's not a musician, just a guy a construction worker that knows how to play guitar and likes music, and so he's kind of being vulnerable in this moment and singing a song that he probably wouldn't sing to anybody.
Yeah, he said, I don't sing, didn't he? When she asked, like, I don't do that, basically. And he did sing it quiet, like he was a little bit shy.
Like a little timid. So I liked how Pedro acted it, and maybe they kind of pushed him like, hey, miss a note or two. Or like slightly miss. Because again, it wasn't like sung perfectly, but I thought how he delivered it was like really good as far as like the character. So good moment. It again, they changed a little bit here with when he sings her the song. This is on her 15th birthday, whereas when he sings her the song in the game is, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, after she goes to Salt Lake City and finds out about what Joel did, and then he's like trying to make up with her, and so she's like uber pissed at him at that point, and so it's just a different time frame, and so a slightly different vibe with the song delivery, but still done pretty well. Then they fast forward to 16th birthday. This is probably the point of the episode that most people will call, like, I don't know, the high point. The museum scene is really cool in The Last of Us with the giant T-Rex out front, and then it's the space museum, and inside there, again, very cool HBO sets. They like built that entire like working like solar system device that like cranked around and stuff, and
it said they had to like manually walk the lights around the shuttle or something,
right, to make it look like the scene in the game.
I saw a little bit of after the
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah. I always watch those because I think they're fun to see how they make them. Um, but yeah, then she picks a space helmet, goes in, he gives her the tape of the actual takeoff and stuff. Again, just an excellent scene. The tear on Pedro Pascal's face
Mm.
as he's like in there, like super touching. He plays that character super, super well. Um, and then yeah, super cool scene when she closes her eyes and listens to the tape, and the lights are all going around, and basically 1-to-1, almost exactly with the game. It is, yeah. I don't know. I really liked it. Do you like that scene?
Agreed.
I don't know
Yeah,
that I had
super
anything wrong
super
with it.
good. He said it was very hard to get the little tape, which just
I would
secures
imagine.
his kind of secures his love for her even more because he figured out a way.
And he like
And
greased the big space machine too, so it would grind and turn.
yeah, it did say someone must have greased this or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he put a lot of effort into it, and then he almost needed a little bit of words of affirmation at the end. He's like, Did
I do okay?
I do okay?"
Yeah.
It's like he really loves this person. Like he cares.
Yeah.
To have done enough for her. Still at this point, their relationship is still great.
Yeah. Yep. And I can imagine that tape would be so hard to find in a world where there's no internet. And you can't just Google that thing. A very cool scene. In the game, that museum scene takes so much longer because you're walking through it and you're like interacting with every plaque that like tells you something about this dinosaur or that dinosaur, and then it's the space portion and you're reading stuff. And so you feel like you're in that museum for like an hour and a half, where this is like only a couple of minutes in an episode. And so like part of me was like, man, I feel like it was so short. But again, the time they have in like a 50-minute episode on HBO has got to be so valuable. So for the couple minutes they had in there, I thought it was good.
I had the same thought. It reminds me of Spider-Man 2 on the PS5. You go, I don't remember where they are, maybe at Harry's dad's company or something, and they're or even the theme park.
Yeah.
Scene in that game.
Yeah.
You're just interacting with everything. You spend so much time in one section.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, they are limited with time. So it's like, let's do one important thing and just jump to another important thing that we nailed.
I wonder if like there is some science or math they do that's like percentage based. It's like, okay, if the game is 30 hours long, we need like 2% of it to be without combat and it's just relationship building. You know, but 2% of 30 hours is a lot more than 2% of the 5 hours or whatever that 7 episodes of the show are going to be. So it might be the same percentage wise.
Yeah.
But it just seems so much faster because you're expecting like to be able to walk around. And I think in this scene you can take like the hat and like put it on all the different statues. Is that right?
Yeah, I think there were maybe multiple helmets.
Yeah, but doesn't she put like a cowboy hat on the dinosaur head first before you get to the space section? And then she can choose a helmet. So yeah, you do like a lot of little cute little things that again they what'd you think about Bella Ramsey climbing the T-Rex?
Well, I swear when I played the game, I dived off of the T-Rex into water.
Oh, really?
Am I tripping?
She does swim there for a minute, like Joel goes whoops and accidentally pushes her into some water. I think before you get to the dinosaur.
I could be completely wrong, but I played this like 2 months ago.
There is definitely water near the T-Rex. I just can't remember. I don't think she jumps off into water, but you might be right. But I think she does climb it in the game too, right?
I think I climbed it. Did I climb it? Can you?
I don't remember. Kind of funny. I did think Bella Ramsey looked. I feel like you could kind of tell she was in a harness, just a little bit.
Oh, really?
It didn't look terrible, and like I think they actually built the dinosaur, and she's actually up there. So, props for that. But, anyways, cool scene, museum. Yeah, one of the most famous parts of the game. So it was cool to see it kind of realized. 17th birthday. Some of this stuff is not shown in the game, but is kind of like briefly explained or like read about. But what does Joel have? Is it another cake? He has something, and he like walks in on Ellie with her first girlfriend, whose name I can't remember, but she was also in like the first episode of this season, I think, the grumpy one.
Okay.
And then she leaves. They have a big fight. That girlfriend is like starting the tattoo um, on Ellie's arm, and Joel's like, "This is my house. Like, you can't be crazy in my house. You're only 17." And she's like, "This isn't your house. They gave it to you. You don't know anything." Was, I think, the note I wrote down here. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I liked the scene. It seemed a little heavy-handed. Like, Joel then goes and talks to the psychiatrist lady. Catherine O'Hara is the actress. I forget her name in the show because it's been a few episodes since we've seen her. And just asks her about the meaning of moths, um, which was like, moths are kind of the theme of game two. Right? There's the moth on the guitar. That's like her tattoo and stuff. But they don't, like, in the game, I don't think, like, ever say moths mean death. That's like a little too, like, hey, our audience is dumb. We need to tell them that moths mean death. And so I thought it was a little on the nose, or like too heavy-handed maybe, but I don't know. It came across Catherine O'Hara saying no, they mean death. Was, I guess, something?
Yeah, I don't know
I
what
don't know.
it's displaying, but
Yeah, I think just spelling it out a little more too clearly. Um, then we see, like, Joel fixing up the garage and Ellie moving out there. He, like, helps her move all her stuff so she can have her own space. So even though they're fighting, they're, like, still in pretty good terms. And he's, like, just trying to figure out her growing up at the same time as all of this. So I think that was the next birthday scene there. Okay. Then the next one, I think, was Ellie is rehearsing this, like, speech, or like a conversation she wants to have with Joel. And he knocks on the garage door and they talk for a minute. And he says that since it's her birthday, she's 19 now, I think is what I wrote down, that she can go on her first patrol and it's going to be with him. Again, this isn't in the game, this part. And this whole next part really isn't. It kind of ties a bow nicely on everything they brought up about Eugene in the first episode of this season. A totally new and different way for Ellie to find out what Joel did. In the game, Ellie sneaks off and leaves to Salt Lake City, goes to the hospital, listens to audio tapes, reads notes, figures it out there, and then Joel realizes she's gone and, goes there too, and they have their big fight kind of spat there, and she says, this is your last chance to tell me the truth or you'll never see me again. And he tells her. She's kind of so overwhelmed by what he tells her. She says, "I'll go back, but we're done. I don't want to ever talk to you again." Um, the show here, they do it very differently. So they go out on this first patrol, and it's been pretty eventless. I think he's like, what did he say? He's like trying to get her to use the binoculars, I think, to look at everything. Like, okay, during patrols, you got to look in your binoculars. And she's like, this is so lame. And then they get a radio call that Eugene needs help. And so they ride over to where he's supposed to be. And I can't remember, did they see anybody else infected? I feel like they saw blood on the ground or something. But basically, they get to the point where they're by Eugene, and he is bit. Was his bite on his side or his
I
arm?
think so. I think
On his side, yeah. And you can tell kind of on Joel's face pretty immediately, like Joel just wants to kind of put Eugene out of his misery and have it be done so that they don't have to worry about it. But Eugene wants to go and see Gail, and Ellie kind of talks Joel into letting it happen. Says she asks Eugene to hold up his hand, start counting, which I think is a callback to season one and what they did to Ellie to make sure that she wasn't infected after she got bit. They, like, tied her up and had her count and see if she was shaky. Can't do the alphabet backwards, I think, was another thing they did. So it was kind of cool to see her, like, use the same kind of logic that was used on her, like, years earlier. And then Joel finally agrees that they'll take him back, kind of tied up, and let him talk to Gale one last time outside of the city walls. And he tells Ellie to go ahead and that he'll meet Eugene or meet her at the horses, I think, with Eugene. And she looks at him kind of funny, and he looked at her with the same face as the other lie right outside of Salt Lake City or outside of Jackson or wherever it was. Um, and says, I promise. Same exact way, basically. And so that's kind of the setup here for basically two mirroring promises. And what's he going to do with this new one that he just made to me?
Mm-hmm.
Because that new one might also be a reflection of the old one. So I feel like I'm talking too much, but just regurgitating what happened here a bit. Joel and Eugene walk a bit further, and turns out Joel hasn't been leading them to the horses, but to this lake. Is it a lake? I think.
Yeah, or a river or
Yeah,
something.
a body of water.
A body of water. A bathtub.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. A bathtub. And Eugene starts talking about, man, I'm cold, and starts to be like a little bit forgetful. It seems like where are we going? I think he asks. Like,
And he
so I don't
said,
know if
go
he's
right.
yeah, yep. Um, and so I think kind of at that moment you can kind of fully see that Joel's like committed to like this guy is not getting anywhere close to Ellie again or to the city. Um, and then Eugene starts to explain to Joel why he wants to see Gale again. It's not to like pass a message on to her or anything, but the quote I wrote down was, "I need her last words for me,"
Mm-hmm.
just so that he can kind of have that last moment be peaceful for him and not like longing for something that he didn't hear, I guess. Um, and then the camera kind of pans up, and you don't even really hear it.
Yeah,
You
it went
just see
silent.
it went silent, and then birds kind of fly away over the trees. So
This part bothered me a
yeah,
little bit. They're really trying to show in this episode how much Joel loves Ellie.
yeah.
And to me,
This seems opposite of that.
Eugene wasn't dumb enough, in my opinion, yet from the infection to really have this be the approach. I feel like potentially he could have got Eugene to Gale.
Yeah.
And so why not? Your one goal is to have this girl like just love you back the same and be. I understand it's a protection thing, but also it's one zombie. If there's potential of him turning,
Yeah, it seems like
he could take him out. He's watching him the whole time.
yeah, with how like resourceful Joel is with a weapon and with I don't know, tying knots or yeah, I feel like they could have strategically done it. I agree. I thought it was
It's probably just to do what you're saying, though, for her to go through the experience of I've seen this face from you before.
mm-hmm.
Now I know you were lying to me in the past.
Yeah. But I don't know if I love this change. It's again maybe too clean of like okay, it's the exact same promise said with like almost the exact same words. If I don't trust him on this first one, then I don't trust him on the last one. Um, but then, like you said, it does seem make Joel seem like a little more cold and heartless in that moment. Like I feel like I don't know, even with like the extra protector mentality they tried to instill at the beginning of this episode by showing Joel and his dad, and when Joel was young, it still seems like Joel in that moment would have been like, I want to keep Ellie happy because she's the one that's gonna still be with me. Joel or what's his name? Eugene's only gonna be with us for another couple hours.
Yeah, and obviously it meant a ton to Ellie because she made me promise that I would take him to Gale.
Yeah,
and was staring at me, and I looked at her and I said, I promise. So why not just make that happen?
Right, because she seemed like very persistent
yeah.
and like this is an important thing to me kind of vibe.
And that's the most important thing to him. So I was really shocked when he went that way.
Yeah, me too. So I don't know that I love the change. Because I think that again, I like the way they handled it in the game better, where he's just at this point, he's just probably trying to forget like what he did in Salt Lake City, and he's just like, I'm just gonna give Ellie the best life possible to show her that I love her as like, again, kind of a surrogate parent. And for Ellie to find out, she has to like break out of Jackson and leave and go find the answers. Like Joel's not gonna do something that dumb and like break a pretty important promise with her that might make her like think, oh, this guy maybe can't be trusted. He's like told me one lie right to my face 10 minutes ago. So I, as you say that, I think I fall more and more on that side. That I don't love this change quite as much. I like that we got like the full circle thing with Eugene, and it kind of ties that story up nicely with Gail, who I think is a cool, interesting new character in the. I don't even know if new is right, but a character they use in the show a bit more. But I agree. I think it changes Joel's character a bit, so I don't know that I love it. Anyways, so Joel kills Eugene, um, and you can tell Ellie's not happy about it. And Joel says, "I'm gonna tell Gail what she needs to know when I get there." And they drag Eugene's body back, basically the same way Joel's body is dragged back. I think they were trying to make a reference to that for sure. And Gail comes over and he tells her that. What exactly did he tell her? That he was bit. He said he loves you.
He was brave.
He was brave, and he took his own life. Right?
Yeah,
I think is what they said. And it only sits that way for about 10 seconds, and then Ellie calls him out immediately to Gail's face, which was kind of bold.
Oh yeah, it was intense.
I liked, even though I didn't love the change for like Joel to do this, I do think it shows like the conflict that is then going to be between them pretty starkly, just with how mad Ellie was to like publicly out him right in front of this widow immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, had to sneeze there for a second, but yeah, and this is where that like "you swore" line from the trailer came in. So it seems like in that moment she's kind of put it together. Again, how much could she have put together without going back to Salt Lake City? Like, are there any survivors there still? Are the doctors still working there? Like, there's a lot of things she doesn't know. From like the rehearsal conversation she had, you can tell she's kind of put some things together. Like some of those questions were like, I can't remember what they were, but like, how come from the hospital in Salt Lake City they saw us and like caught us immediately, but then they were attacked by raiders, and the raiders like got in just fine. So you can tell she's like seeing all the cracks in Joel's story, but even though she seems to have put together that he lied to her about that, she wouldn't know much at this point, other than he got her out of there, obviously. So again, I like that she went to Salt Lake City and found those answers better in the game. But kind of a brutal scene there, though, to throw Joel under the bus and watch Catherine O'Hara just slap him. Woo!
Yeah, I was like, that's gonna take some time to mend your relationship with her.
Yeah. Yeah, she seemed very mad, which is how she's supposed to seem.
And I mean Gail and Joel.
Oh,
their relationship. I'm like, oh man, she just found out you lied about this critical moment in her life. She gonna continue being your therapist? I doubt it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems surprising that she even will sit with him. Given that, because she mentioned that like in the first episode, like I don't like what you did to my husband. But then when it's finally revealed here, it seems even worse than what she was insinuating.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, kind of crazy. Then it jumps to 9 months later, and this is the dance at New Year's, the night before Joel dies. I did kind of like the scene with Maria and Tommy and their son, whose name I don't remember, and them talking about Joel as Uncle Grumpy. And then Joel gets a second to talk with Maria, and it's kind of a nice relationship building scene for the both of them. And then it kind of like fast forward. Well, it just shows like the same scene with Ellie and Dina and Seth getting mad at them, and from a different camera angle, which was kind of cool to see.
Yeah, kind of
Like,
just from Joel's point of view.
yeah, because he's just sitting there talking and then kind of sees it happen. And then you kind of know what happens from there. He pushes Seth. Ellie gets super mad at him. He goes home, is just sitting on his porch drinking coffee. And all right, so Joel's fiddling on the porch. And this goes back to the scene earlier in the season where she's mad at him and walks right past him. Um, but in this scene, she does turn around and comes back and talks to him. And this is where she gives him the one last chance line. Like, tell me what happened in Salt Lake City. This is where I need to know. So again, just a different way of telling it. Instead of her going to get the information, she figures out that he would lie to me about Eugene, so he probably lied to me about the other things because there's cracks in his story that don't make sense. And now I'm going to ask him about it, and if he denies it again, I'm just going to be done with this guy. Um, and she kind of has to ask him a few questions. Like the one I wrote down here was like, "Did you?" And it seemed like she kind of was insinuating, like, "Did you kill all the people?" And he just kind of, you can tell it was tough for Joel to tell her.
Oh yeah,
He's like
seemed brutal.
shaking and crying, and all he can do is just kind of nod and shake. Um, and I was like, man, is he not gonna say any words? But he finally does at the end. And when she asks him like why or something, and he says just like he does in the game, making a cure would have killed you, um, and so I got you out because I love you, which I think is slightly different, but wording, but very close. And then I think he ends with the same thing that his dad told him. I hope that you'll be a little bit better than me. So I liked that was kind of a tied nicely back to the beginning of the episode. And she kind of ends with the same thing as in the game. I don't know that I can forgive you about this, but I'd like to try. And again, that's the last conversation that they have before he dies the next day, um, which is kind of brutal. But I know that the main difference here is this scene is very, very, very late in the game, like almost at the end.
Hmm.
So it's after you've seen Joel die, and Ellie leaves to Seattle, and she kills Nora and Mel and Owen and blah 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 blah, and Abby catches them. Then you spend 3 days as Abby learning who Owen and Mel and Nora and all these people are. And then Abby and Ellie fight, and then Ellie goes home and lives with Dina, and they have Tommy's baby, and Abby goes to California, and then Ellie decides she can't live with herself, and so she leaves and goes to California to try and find Abby again, and then they fight. And it's like really, really close to the end, even after all that stuff, that this scene happens. And so I wonder why they decided to place it here, because it is like a very, again, one of the most like loved scenes in the game, and I think it is important that it was like at the end, because then it kind of makes like you watch Ellie do all these brutal things trying to get revenge, and then you watch like Abby's story, and you're like, man, maybe I kind of like Abby. She was like a pretty normal person. She did something dark and vengeful as well. Um, and then it kind of ties a bow at the end of like, oh man, they were just about to have like their relationship start to be built again, and like their forgiveness journey kind of start. Um, and so I don't know, placing it here does feel just a little bit different when we haven't even seen Ellie do most of her acts of revenge yet. We've only seen the one with Nora. So kind of I don't know if it's a weird idea or a change, excuse me, but it is interesting that they decided to stick this scene in here. It seems like they kind of wanted some really strong scenes to end this season, and this is like one of the strongest like emotional relationship building scenes. And I guess it makes sense to have had them film it with Pedro Pascal if he's not going to be part of production anymore.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say maybe, like you were mentioning earlier, they didn't want
Mm.
to fork out another 500,000 in a new season.
Yeah, that might be like the cleanest explanation. But interesting decision that they changed it nonetheless. But anyways, I really like this episode, the jumping between the birthdays, um, and it just kind of leads pretty cleanly to where Ellie is now and all the dark stuff that is coming. Um, and I think Pedro Pascal's Joel kind of deserves like this last hurrah episode, and it was cool to see like his dad and a few more touches about him and a few really important scenes from the game. So I liked this episode. I don't know that.
I also like this episode. It shied away from so much action and adventure to something a little more wholesome, which I can get behind. I like a little piece of all of it, to be honest. That's what makes a great video game and a great story is just variety in the story. There's
Yeah,
the lovey-dovey parts, there's the action parts, the deep conversation, all the things.
I agree.
I'm super excited to see the next one, which is the last one,
It is the
which is
last one of
sad.
the season. Very sad. Makes me I was wondering after it ended. I was like, okay, they have one episode left. Where are they going to end? And in the like preview for next week, they show the what kind of boat is that? It has like the one motor, little motorboat, I guess, going through the waves, just like in the game, on its way up to the aquarium. Which makes it seem like they're going to probably end the season in about the same spot as the game changes to Abby, with Ellie gets revenge on Owen and Mel. They go back to the theater where Tommy, Jesse, and Dina are, and the four of them decide, okay, we should probably be done now. It was a pretty harrowing experience. What happens with Ellie when she finds out that Mel was pregnant?
Mm.
And so they decide they're going to go home, and then Abby meets them there, and some chaos ensues. So I'm guessing it will end basically the same way.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy to see because how much will Bella Ramsey or any of these main characters need to be in season 3?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Ellie won't be in season 3 a lot, like until towards the end.
Yeah, depending on how
How
much
they structure it, because Abby's gonna have quite a few episodes. Probably.
which I'm stoked for. I like the person they're using
Me
for
too.
her, and I'm really excited to see this.
Yeah, me too. So it will be a cool change. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see if they do any other audibles, but I'm guessing it'll be follow it pretty close. So, anyways, that's gonna do it for this conversation about season 6. Nope, season 2, episode 6 of HBO's The Last of Us. Thanks so much for watching, and make sure to check our Patreon at patreon.com/supergamebrothers for our spoiler cast of episode 7 next week. And we'll see you then. And until then, have a good one.